Hey everybody, it's Leon with Wide Awake Productions. Welcome back. I'm going to do up a little mini series, and they're going to be called Quick Thoughts. Why am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that because I'm outgunned by cute little videos of kittens, fun little videos of puppies, and other 3-minute segments that is making our brains program very quickly so that we can't seem to want to sit down and watch a 30-minute video. So I'll give you these little tidbits. And what we're going to talk about today is your conscience compared to your subconscious. And this video should be maybe 10 minutes long, I think. Hopefully, that's what I'm shooting for. So, just before we do that, though, I just want to get you guys to check out a book called You Are Not Your Brain. Okay? You Are Not Your Brain. It's about, I think it's 19 bucks in the States and 18 bucks in Canada. It's probably a bit more. Wait a sec. It's $18 in the States and 19 bucks in Canada. It's probably a bit more in Canada now because of the exchange. And it's written by Jeffrey Schwartz. He also has, I think, Mind Block or Brain Blocks is another one of his bestsellers. But it's a very important epiphany of really understanding that, listen, you're not your brain. Your brain is a computer the body uses to negotiate, navigate, and also house information. And it stores all that. Why is that important information to know? Well, if you realize that you're not your brain, but you're your witnessing self, your contemplative self, your capacity to be consciously available to yourself, then you can do something with your thought process. And you can actually train your brain through a variety of different ways, which we'll discuss down the road a little bit. So if you get a chance to, pick up You Are Not Your Brain. Thanks, Wayne, for letting me use the book for this little part. You should be able to grab it on Amazon. And again, it's about 18 bucks if you're in the States and 19 bucks if you're in Canada. Okay, awesome. So, moving forward, what I'd like to do is, again, talk about the conscious and the subconscious, because it's very important. Some people have, alluded to the conscious and subconscious as it's kind of like an iceberg. We only see 10% of the top of an iceberg, and the rest of it's below the water. And if you're not aware of what's below the water and how big some of these forces are that are in our subconscious and how they can affect you, they can cause some huge catastrophes. Titanic being one of them. It's not just the top stuff, it's the bottom stuff you got to be aware of and how it works. What I want to mention first is a little bit of academic kind of stuff, okay? When we talk about the conscience and your subconscious, 10% of your life existence that you were consciously aware of, compared to 90% of your life experiences that you're subconsciously carrying, and but not knowing what that those pieces of information are. So I don't want to get too deep on this particular video. I just want to make it more of a funner video, so I won't do that to you. But I will show you the difference a bit about the conscious and the subconscious. Now, what's the difference between the conscious and the subconscious? Your conscience kicks in when you're in unfamiliar territory, the unknown. Okay? And that's when you become heightened and alert. Your subconscious kicks in when you're in familiar territory. And that usually happens after your subconscious begins to get a map of whatever the territory happens to be, which I'll explain in a second here. So just a little bit of a few statistics for you, okay? So your conscience has about 40 nerve impulses per second. Your subconscious has approximately 40 million nerve impulses per second. Your conscience has about 7 to 15 bits of processing per second, whereas your subconscious has 60,000 bits in regards to processing, okay? Now, within when we talk about conscious, subconscious, there's another level which is also called your unconsciousness. Your unconsciousness that's in your subconscious is the parts of your brain that keep everything operating. My lungs, my heart, it's all automatic. My hearing's automatic. My seeing's automatic. It does. It keeps your motor skills working so that I can stand here or sit here in front of you and talk to you without me having to think about breathing or seeing or listening or talking. I'm in it full time, automatically kind of thing. So what's kind of a good way of understanding from the inside out what the conscious looks like from the inside out compared to how the subconscious works from the inside out? Okay, so remember, your conscience activates in the unknown. In other words, when you're in unknown territory, unfamiliar territory, and your subconscious activates in the known territory. Another way of looking at this is if you happen to had some friends come up to you and say, hey, we're going over to so-and-so's house for a party. Well, we were just wondering, they're really great people. Would you like to come along? And you kind of think about it and you say, yeah, actually, I'd like to come and do that. Now, you've never been over to their house before, so you might Google their address and take a look at the satellite view and that, so you can see where the streets are, what the house looks like and that. And then you take that information, you go to your car and you start driving to wherever the location is. Yeah, some of you have GPS units, but still that part of your brain's still there because you've never been there before and you don't sure if you can trust technology. And what's happening in that first time of you going over there is you're consciously available. Now, you have a rough idea where they are, but you don't know exactly where they are, so you're consciously available. So you're looking for clues out of your eyes, you're listening, you're present, you're making sure you keep an eye on the lights, making sure no one's walking across the road. You're consciously available there. And say you go to the party and they're really great people and they end up being good friends, and you've gone over there a repetitive amount of times, and they ask you over again for a barbecue or whatever like that. You're not going to go into your conscious availability because your body already knows the mapping of how to get to their place. You're just going to drive there. Some of you probably have experienced this, especially if you've had family or friends where you went and visited them and you know the location you're going to, and it's a long drive, say an hour, hour and a half, and you drive the whole way there, and all of a sudden you hit the destination and you kind of think, I don't quite remember actually driving here. I mean, you knew you were driving, but you didn't think about the driving like you did the first time you went to the location. That's that subconscious mapping. And it's wired, it's the primal part of our brain, and if you were a little lizard and you got up in the morning, you walked around, and you went over these rocks, went around this tree, and you went over this little creek, what that means is that your brain said, hey, we made it home alive today. That was a good idea. So that map is now subconsciously present in the primal part of your brain, and it just kicks in automatically, frees your conscious availability up. Now, what your subconscious is supposed to do is alert your consciousness about yourself if there's anything that's not the same as what the imprint of that map happens to be inside of your body. I'm sure all of you have experienced this, even though you've been driving down a road that you've known a long time, and you're subconsciously driving. What happens is all of a sudden you see some blue and red lights up in the distance. It's nighttime, and all of a sudden this alert comes up to your conscious availability. The police are ahead. Now you become aware. Right? Or if you're driving down the road and all of a sudden you look in your mirror and you see the police car behind you, you become heightenedly aware of the unknown. And so that's what your subconscious is supposed to do, is to alert you if information comes into its imprint of what its original map was, of things that aren't familiar to it. It's supposed to alert your conscious availability so you can adjust to what might be there. So the key part about it is your conscious and subconscious. Your conscious is activated when you're in the unknown. Your subconscious is activated when you're in the known, meaning that your body is familiar and has a mapping plan that this has worked great all these years. Thanks for watching, you guys. Talk to you in a little while.